Hello, testing, testing. Alright, I get this muted right now. Just want to make a short introductory video and check out the quality of this recording here. Just quick notes when I'm playing, things that I think people may need pointed out. I'm Captain Nemo, and I'm going to point out the obvious here for you. When we're on Dust 2, and we're CT side, and fighting these guys along, your team's killing people on other places on the map, and you die, and you're like, he's long, he's long. You know, I'm all for making a lot of calls, and I just want to help people be able to make more concise calls, because it's a pretty much classic thing where you know, the guys that's died, he's calling the last thing he saw, which is the guy is long, but what he doesn't realize is that there's two left, and the other guy's here. The other guy's here. He's safe from cat, and he says he's long, and right when the guy calls he's long, he peeks up. He steps up to peek long, thinking that's the last guy, because the guy, just the way he was calling it, so like, he's long, and then he just gets shot from the guy cat, because of the way the call was. And I think everyone can relate. You're trying to play as a team, but sometimes there's bad calls, so you can't always rely on the calls. If you're building a team, you definitely want to be able to rely on the calls. If you're pubbing, you still want to try to have some consistency. So that's just one thing. When you're making calls, say, you want to call first what you saw last when you died. So yeah, you want to say there's one long. But if you thought it's the last one, and you're calling it like that, just be sure to check the scoreboard, and don't be afraid to edit your call. Like, oh, there's two left. Or just be really clear when you're making the calls, that, like I said, there's one long, and so people don't just assume it's the last guy. If people are like, he's long, he's right there, get him. And that's just a quick video about making calls. I like being an aggressive caller, but you also need to be able to edit your calls quickly, and so that you can help your players out who are left in a clutch situation best possible. The other thing I was going to say is, if you are able to pull down the scoreboard and say, oh, there's two left, maybe one's rotating from B, one's going to be cat. If you happen to know, like if I'm standing right here and you're calling for me, and the guy cat's probably going to be peeking me before the guy B, you might want to call that first. Say, hey, one cat, one rotating from B. So if I'm really am in a clutch situation where I'm like trying to fight off multiple people, those calls ideally would come to me in the order that I'm gonna see them in. That's hard because I may do some random stuff and you don't really know. But generally, I mean, sometimes it's like, you're not going to see the guy for like 2 minutes later, so that call's not as important. So be clear about your calls, prioritize your calls. Sometimes it may seem like you're being redundant, like pulling up the scoreboard saying it's clear. I like to call 1v2s, 1v1s, just numbers in general, because it helps the players, especially newer players who are not able to look at the scoreboard as quickly. If they're doing a little bit of math, they can just get an idea, like, hey, there's other players over here. Don't just go all in. I love playing bots. Shooting bots, okay. And that's going to be that for that video. Please follow, subscribe, and every time I get random things to talk about, I will make a video, or probably going to go over each and every map at some point for teams, and other tips and just random thoughts. So thanks for viewing, and please help support new Counter-Strike players by giving them the link to the Steam group here on and the YouTube, Twitter channel. Alright, thanks a lot.